And now for another riveting topic. How do you tell the difference between a vocal schwa and a silent schwa? We did the two different kinds of dageshes, the doubling dagesh and the hardening dagesh. This is another bit of housekeeping that you'll catch on to. You know, if you don't understand these things immediately, remember what is hard today is easy tomorrow. But let's talk a little bit about how do you tell the difference between a schwa that you pronounce and one that you don't pronounce, which ends a syllable. Well, to know this, you have to know a little bit about how syllables work in Hebrew. Again, you'll catch on to it intuitively. If you don't understand a word I'm saying, don't sweat it. This is not the end of the world. But to understand kind of how, and this also helps you know when a begad kafat letter is a doubling dagesh or a hardening dagesh. You need to know a little bit about open and closed syllables. I mentioned this in the video on dageshes. So an open syllable is one that ends with a vowel. It's like ba, the vowel just hangs out there. It doesn't close. It just hangs out there. Ma, it's an open syllable. The door is open. It's not closed. And an open syllable starts with a consonant. Almost all syllables in Hebrew start with a consonant. The exception would be u at the beginning of a word, a sharuk, but that's not important right now. Almost every consonant in Hebrew begins with every syllable in Hebrew begins with a consonant. So that's an open syllable. So in the very first word of the Hebrew Bible, Bereshit, which is in the beginning or in beginning, ba is an open syllable. Re is an open syllable because this is a little side note, little footnote. Aleph quiesces often after long vowels, which means it's like it just disappears, as far as pronunciation is concerned. So this is an open syllable in terms of pronunciation. Ba, re, and then sheet is not an open syllable because it ends with a tav. It closes, the door closes, consonant vowel close. And so a closed syllable is a CVC, a consonant vowel consonant, and the consonant at the end closes the syllable. This syllable is closed. And so the sheet here at the end, we have a sh, which is a consonant. We have a hirik yod, which is an e, that's a vowel combination, 1-2 punch, and then the tav ends the syllable. So an open syllable is a consonant vowel, it's open. And then a closed syllable closes, consonant vowel, the syllable is closed. So what we're going to find is that the vocal schwa always appears right after the beginning consonant of a syllable. And so a schwa is a vocal schwa is a schwa that comes after a beginning consonant. Whereas a silent schwa, and there isn't a silent schwa here, I'll show you on the next slide, a silent schwa always indicates that the syllable is closed. And so it comes after a final consonant. But what do you need to know from this slide? Open syllable, closed syllable, consonant vowel. This syllable is closed. All right, so now Shevas. At the beginning of an open syllable, a sheva is vocal. Just as I said, ba. This is an open syllable, ba, and that is a vocal schwa. Now, at the end of a closed syllable, a shva is silent. So here's a couple examples of that from Jonah that we've already seen. Jonah 1:2, I think, both of these froms. So this is tar, she, sha, as far as the breaking down the syllables. The first syllable, tar, is a closed syllable because we have a tav, we have a patak, and we have a resh. Consonant, vowel, consonant, and then this syllable is closed. It's a silent schwa, tar, consonant, vowel, consonant. So this schwa, it's not tare shisha, it's tar she sha, and the accents on the she. If you look in the Bible, they have accents. That's the next video. So tar shisha, and that's a closed syllable, and that is a silent schwa. Same thing here. So mil, what kind of a dagesh is that? It's a doubling dagesh. Why? Because it's in a letter that isn't a begad kafat letter. A dagesh in any letter that is not a begad kafat letter is a doubling dagesh. So there are two L's here, two lameds. So mil is the first syllable. What kind of a syllable is that? Mem, hirik, first lamed, that's a closed syllable, consonant, vowel, consonant. And so this here comes after the second lamed, lamed. So mil, li, and then this is a pay, no dagesh, so it's pronounced f, so lif. Now, so we have a consonant, the second lamed, hirik, pay. This syllable's closed, so this is a silent schwa because it comes at the end of the syllable, lif, closed, consonant, vowel, consonant, and then ne is an open syllable. So mil, lif, and if you can, you should pronounce the lamed twice. It's hard for us English speakers, but mil, lif, ne. Kind of hold the lamed a little longer. But the bottom line is that when a sheva is after the beginning of an open syllable, it is a vocal schwa. When a sheva marks the end of a closed syllable, this syllable is closed. It's a silent sheva. Let me just give you, again, if you have what I've said, you can, and you're said, I kind of get it, I can't take much more, go on to the next slide. But let me give you a little bit more information for those of you who want to watch this video several times or want a little bit more detail. Let me tell you about the different kinds of syllables that there are in terms of where they stand in relation to the accent. So if a syllable is accented, and there are marks in the Hebrew Bible, I'll introduce them in the next video. They're not important, really. They just tell you how to pronounce the word, pretty much, where to put the stress. An accented syllable is generally long. And a syllable right before the accent is generally long. What is a long vowel? Well, we've put long marks over them, right? If you go back to the transliteration video, if there's a long mark over it, a macron or a hat, it's long. And so here's an example of the second word of the Hebrew Bible. The first word is bereshit, in beginning, and then bara is the second word, he created. So we have a bet with a dagesh. It's the beginning of a word, so it's a hardening dagesh. It's not a doubling dagesh. It's just a ba. Tells you to say ba. This is a qamats. This is a resh. This is qamats. And then the aleph quiesces after a long vowel. It just kind of disappears as far as the pronunciation is concerned. So this is bara. So the accent is on the ra. Ra, ra, re. No. Okay. So it's an accented syllable, and so I'm not surprised to find a long A, qamats is a long A, in that final syllable. The syllable right before it is a near open syllable. It's open because it's ba, and it's also long. So in Hebrew, interestingly enough, for those of you, again, I'm sorry, my brain is full. Aramaic, if you look at the Aramaic of like Daniel and so forth, one of the differences between Hebrew and Aramaic is vowels do something different in near open syllables in Aramaic. But I'm going to stop myself from telling you what it is. Text me or put it on the YouTube question mark. What do they do? What do new open syllables do in Aramaic? But in Hebrew, near open syllables go long. So accented syllables are generally long, and near open syllables, the syllable right before, an open syllable right before the accent, is generally long. Two other syllables I want to mention, though. Unaccented closed syllables. So closed syllables that don't have the accent, they are short. And so this is also in Genesis 1:1, Hashemayim, the heavens. You'll notice that hey, patak, and then the first sheen of a doubled shin. That's a doubling dagesh. Why? Because it's in a letter that isn't a begad kefat letter. A dagesh in any letter that's not a doubling letter is a doubling dagesh. So hey, patak, first shin. That is a closed syllable. The accent's not there because the accent is on the mayim, is where the accent is. So it's a distant, it doesn't matter that it's distant, but it's a closed syllable that's not accented. And so we have a short vowel, patak. I know it doesn't have a light mark over it, but it's not a long qamats. It's a normal short patak. Okay, so again, unaccented closed syllables are short, like the hash in Hashemayim. Finally, a distant open syllable, that's where we're not near the accent, we're far away from the accent. A distant open syllable is reduced. And that's what happens in bereshit, the first word, because the accent's on the sheet. Sheet is an accented closed syllable, and it's long. Re is a near open syllable, and it's long. But ba is far away from the accent, and it's reduced to a Sheva. Barely any sound because you don't have as much breath. You got to keep going, right? You got to save your breath to get to the accent because you need most of your breath for the accent, for the stress. So the farther away from the accent you get, the shorter the vowels will tend to be in Hebrew. So again, if you don't understand this slide, that's okay. This is for the gold. If you just want to have a basic understanding, what do you need to know from this video? What you need to know from this video is that at the beginning of an open syllable, a Sheva is vocal. At the end of a closed syllable, a Sheva is silent. This syllable is closed. I have one more slide if you can bear it. This one is slightly more important than the previous slide. You'll remember I mentioned that there is a normal O, we can call it a short O, called a qamats chatuph, and it looks just like a qamats. So how do you tell the difference between the long A, qamats gadol, the big qamats, and the small qamats, the qamats katon, the O? One is a long A, qamats gadol, the big qamats. How do you tell the difference between the long A qamats and the I'm just a little qamats, the qamats chatuph, the qamats katon, the small qamats? How do you tell the difference? Well, here's the answer. When an O is in an unaccented closed syllable, so when it's in a closed syllable, and it's not accented, then a qamats is a O. It's not a long A. It's a short O. Because remember, in a closed, unaccented closed syllable, syllables are short. Let me give you an example to end this video. So the long O, here's a holum, right? This is the word for all, kol. That's a hardening qamats, hardening dagesh, because it's in the beginning of a word. This is a long vowel, a kol. It means all. Now, what happens when we take the same word and put a dash by it so that it's in an unaccented closed syllable? By putting the dash on there, every tree is what this says. Kol ha'etz. Now, by putting the dash there, I've kind of joined, in terms of accent and in terms of breath, I've kind of joined the kol with the following word. And so now it's far away. If eitz is where the accent is, ha-eitz is a near open syllable, and then kol is a far away, a distant syllable, closed syllable, no accent. So what's going to happen is that long O is going to reduce in a closed, unaccented syllable to a qamats chatuph, to a short O. Okay, and so this would be transliterated K-O without any mark on it, L. And so how do you know when a qamats, this is a qamats, how do you know when a qamats is a qamats gadol? Pretty much everywhere, long A. But when it's in an unaccented closed syllable, then it's a qamats chatuph, that is a short O. And this has been vocal and silent schwas. Don't worry too much about this video. If you don't understand it, don't worry about it. This is the little stuff. The big stuff is what is important, but little stuff's important too if you want to learn the language. So, vocal and silent schwas.